Hi, welcome to the Andrew Buckle video tutorials on Affinity Photo and image brushes and creating them using gradients. Create some design like this very abstract design. Now, first thing to do, just go to a complete fresh document. Fresh document, key panels, view, studio, brushes and layers. You can see them over here and just go over here, layers. Now, you'll see by default, there's no layers. So what you need to do always is generally just go to a layer and new layer. So you've got a pixel layer there. What you then can do is you can add a gradient to it. And I'm just going to go over here to the gradient tool. There's the gradient tool. Now by default, just going to go with, goes to none. Not very useful sometimes, I think. So could go with solid, but I want a gradient. So I'm going to go for elliptical gradient. Default is not the world's greatest default. So I'm just going to click there. And then I'm going to change these stops. You've got two stops here. Now I'm going to go for double click there. I want to add another one. Double click away from an existing stop. That's always the best thing. You can't move that at all. You can't move that one. The two ends are stuck. Can't change them. You can change the colours, however. So just go there, click on that. And you can see as soon as you click on it, it will get a bit bigger, that stop. You know that's your selected. So you can change that, click on there, and then you maybe make it red. Click on that one, and you see it again gets a bit bigger, and you can then click on there, and you can go maybe purple. You can go all kinds of different colours. Now at this point I haven't added anything, so I'm just going to add it. So you can see, and you can also, of course, position it anywhere, and but I want it so avoid the edges. Now I've decided I want to change this, and I can change it interactively. So always the easiest way is just to go, and you can see a little plus as you hover over that line. So that can add another stop. And again, you got this point, suddenly you find, well, how do I change the colour? Well, again, simply go up there, click on this again, and you can see the panel again. Now, sometimes if you go to another tool, if you go off to the move tool, you'll find that you can't edit it, which is a real inconvenience. I don't know why that happens. However, that seems to be the way it works. But so, because what I want this one here to be black. Don't want it to be grey. I want that one to be there. And what also I want is the opacity. The end stop here. You can't move it. It's 100%. That's its position. But I want it to be 0. But I also want, I'm just going to add another stop there. It lets me, yep. And I'm just going to change that to black because I want a black rim around there. And also you can modify this, the midpoint. There's a midpoint here, this little line. And you can move it so you can make it more crunched in. If you go the other way, you can go like that. Depends what you want. But I want this sort of lovely shape like this. And I could add white and other things into it as well. But I'm going to go with this now. There's a pixel layer still, exactly the same as before. So go to the move tool. Now, as soon as you do this, you can't go back and edit it. You can recreate it. You can just add it again, but you can't edit that existing one. So now you can see your pixel layer. Now what you can do, you can hold down the Alt or Option key and duplicate it, do those sort of things. And so you can create quite a complex design. But what I don't want that. I'm just going to go with this. And I'm just going to go to Filters and Distort and Deform. I'm going to go for Similarity. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to add around the edge. You can add a number of pins around the edge. Just simply click there all the way around. And also you can add outside as well as inside. So if you add inside and then drag, you can see you can create these, because that's pinned it sort of frozen it at that position. That's why adding them all the way around. But you can also drag in. You can see you can make dents in the design. So you can create some. Now you can also add a pin outside, so you can distort it even more, make that lovely hollow there. And again, there. So you can create a far more interesting gradient design than if you just created just a basic gradient. Deform is very useful for that. And again, you can add that, which actually you can split it apart, so you end up with bits of it going off. But again, careful to avoid going over the edge. And again, you can add some additional pins up there and distort that one. And you can add pins, another pin and so on and so on. Once you've done that, once you have, and you can always undo, you can always just get rid of them. You don't have to, you can delete them or just cancel. But I'm just going to go with that. That's what I want, that design. What I can also do, because it's a layer, I can go to Effects, and I'll just go there to Layer Effects, bring that up, and I can go maybe to Bevel Emboss, or maybe 3D. Personally, I like the Bevel Emboss more. And I can change, maybe go for Inner. Just change that, and you can see then you get this sort of nice, there, soften that, and you can modify whole range, make it like that. Okay, so I've got that design. Well, what I can do, I can turn that now into a brush. So how to do that? Go to Brushes, and then go to this right side menu. And you go down here to New Brush from Selection. And that's it. It's been saved. Now I can go to that layer, I can remove it. I could delete it as well, perfectly reasonable, but I'm just going to keep it there. Doesn't, because I might want to use it later, so I'm just going to, but I'm not, but it's a possible. So you've got your brush there, and what you can do, you can now apply brush strokes. However, what you need, of course, is a layer to actually add them to. I don't want that layer. I want to add a new layer. So layer menu and new layer. And now I can add that brush. Just go to the brush, just select it. You can see there, you can select it. And I can just apply it now. There you go. It's quite a nice design. Perfectly reasonable. However, I want something slightly more than that. Now you'll notice straight away, a big problem is why I didn't get rid of it. It's got no layer effect. So that's not so useful. How? Well, how to get around that? Go back to layers, and I'm just going to remove that one for now, and I'm just going to bring this one back. So you've got this design. I want that effect. I want this. So what I can do is I can rasterize the whole thing. So I can go to Layer, and then I'm just go down here to rasterize. Now I don't want that. I want the layer effects to be included. So reserve layer effects, I don't want that. So I just want to rasterize the whole thing. I want the layer effects, everything to be rasterized. So click OK. And now, if you looked, if you could see it very closely, this design has now got this bevel or any shadows or anything, as long as you get the layer effects. So that's the way again. If you've got layer effects, you have to do this step. Don't have to, of course, but what you can then do, of course, go back to the brushes. Then you can go to the right side and New Brush from Selection. Now, if I go back to Layers, just deselect that one and bring that one back again. Work with that one. Go to the brush tool over there and make certain I'm using the right brush, because quite often you can see the design there. So now you have those layer effects, and you can see design there. You know, it's up to you if you want the layer effects. Perfectly reasonable not to have it. However, of course, you can modify this even more. Double click and bring up this panel, this editor panel. What you can do, you can modify the spacing, so you can make it very very intense, like a nozzle, a nice flowing design. So you can go to Dynamics, you can change the brush dynamics. You can just try it out. Once you've got that, you can see your design there. You can see all kinds of different designs can be created that way. Now, what I actually want is to add some rotation to it as well. So you can see there. Now, of course, the spacing doesn't make much issue then, because of course, so you can see now you've got this lovely design very quickly created from that. However, what you can also do, of course, you can add some scattering if you want to go that way, scattering Y, and it spreads out, or not. You also can add hue jitter as well. So you might, if you want it to be like reds and blues and whatever, saturation into there as well, up to you. And you can also modify it, texture, you can add some texture to it. You can also add additional brushes, but reasonable as well. But I'm not, I'm just going to go with what I've got there now. And then I can apply it. You can see the design spread, lovely colourful design across the image like that. Well, what I can do, and I'm just going to quickly go to layers, and I'm just going to remove that. Don't want that now. What I want to do is create another layer. So layer and new layer. And I'm going to go to the size. I don't want that because it's quite large, that, so I want to reduce it down a bit. Because what I want to do, I want to add it just to this very small design, and this is added to that pixel layer. So you can create all kinds of new brushes from this design here. So you can just say like that. I think that's quite a nice design. What you can then do is, again, just go there to the move tool. You can see your design there. Again, hold down the Alt Option key if you want to, and duplicate, add additional designs. So you can create a lot more complexity. Maybe rotate that design, and so on and so on. Perfectly reasonable, or not. But you've got this design that can be turned into a brush. So again, just go to right side menu, brushes. That's the key thing, not the layers one. Right side menu of brushes. Go to there and new brush from selection. And now that's added as a brush. And I'm just going to remove that. Now I want layer, so I'm just going to go to layer, new layer. So new layer to work on. Brushes, and just there. Just click on that. Go to the brush tool, and you can see the brush there. So you can see your brush design. You can see, you can fill an image quite quickly with this brush stroke. Now what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to change that, and I'm going to double click on that again. Bring up the brushes. You can modify the various things and change the spacing, make it more spaced out, but reasonable. But also you can go to dynamics again, rotation distance, so you can see it rotate. Spacing just closer there. Maybe dynamics again. Maybe go with hue jitter, and so you can create sort of jitter on that one as well. And you can modify it, of course, by these various controls here. There's a number of things. Pressure, also modify it by these profiles that can be added as well. So you've got your design there, and now maybe go over here and oops, that's the wrong one. That one. Well, I'm going to do size jitter. So it actually jitters that. Also scatter and there, so you can create that sort of design, and you can then or maybe again, just get rid of those. Oops. Go to just on this one, just make sure I'm on layer. There's a layer there. That's the old one. Layer, new layer. Oops, don't want it that big. That's the trouble sometimes. It puts it back to a fairly large value. So you've got your design there. Again, now if you don't want it to go over the edge, one of the easiest way, of course, is just to use, say, like a rectangular marquee tool. But you're still going to end up with a sort of a thing. But you can apply it to a very localized area, maybe. It's perfectly reasonable as well. So click there. You can see your design there. And you can always, of course, move that selection and much, much, much more. Anyway, hope you found this tutorial of interest. Always adding new tutorials about Affinity Photo. Obviously, image brushes. I will be adding quite a few over the next couple of weeks. Also, tutorials for lots of other things. Photoshop, Critter. I was trying to think of some. Affinity Publisher, Affinity Designer, and Clip Studio Paint, Rebel, and many others. Also, please subscribe to Graphic X channel. I add them generally every day or so. Also, please add some comments, any sort of things I did wrong, things that you think, well, maybe why didn't you do that, or whatever, or something I didn't explain very well. Please let me know about that. Also, a dislike or like. Thank you much.